Hi, this is your host, Andrew Rafal, the founder and CEO of Baintree Wealth Advisors. And I want to welcome you to the Your Wealth and Beyond podcast, a show that was created to help you simplify the financial world and to ensure that you're living your best life now and in retirement. Each show, we're going to be bringing on experts that are going to help you build wealth and, most importantly, find purpose in what matters most.
Welcome back to another episode of Your Wealth and Beyond. I'm your host, Andrew Rafal, the CEO of Baintree Wealth Advisors. And listeners, I've got a special guest today, one that I hope you're going to like. It is part of, with COVID, the delay of school. I've got my 14-year-old daughter, Winter, with us today. Winter, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today, we talked through on the Your Wealth and Beyond podcast about you, about retirement, what that's going to look like, your passion, your purpose. Well, thought it'd be great now that I have a 14-year-old that's just entering high school, been learning a little bit about money, been working with dad on some things, working in the office. So we wanted to talk with Winter today, get a perspective from the Gen Zers about what they think of retirement, what they think about money, some of the things that she is doing right now and we're doing as parents to help her get a better understanding of the value of money. So, Winter, we're really, really excited to have you on. I know you're very busy. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of TikToks that need to be done. There's a lot of YouTube videos to be watched. So thanks for stepping in. So, Winter, when you think about what we've instituted recently over the last year or so, is instead of, in a sense, this allowance based upon you doing chores in the home, which you still have to do, but giving you a monthly stipend of $100. And listeners, we use this, what's it called? Current. So Current is a credit card, or it's a debit card that then ties in to an app so we can track everything. And she can then, in Winter, you can track what you're spending on. So here's what we thought of in this case. And I got this from John Lanza, who we actually had on the podcast several episodes ago. He is wonderful in regards to teaching kids the value of money and helping the parents teach the kids the value of money. So by putting this $100 in, it allowed you, Winter, to do what? To look to see, okay, so she wanted to, so talk us through. Beforehand, it would be that you'd have to, ask mom and dad if you wanted a pair of shoes or if you wanted that bracelet. But now, talk to the listeners about what it makes you have to think about before you actually make the purchase.
Control my money and see if it's worth spending. So
control your money and see if it's worth spending. So it's important because what we have to do is we're learning how to budget, right? Once you go over that, if that $100 is gone for the month, and let's say pre-COVID, you were going to go to the mall with your friends, and back in the day, you'd just be like, hey, can I have $20? Well, now, if you've gone through your money, obviously we're going to make sure you can eat. But then you go to the mall, if your current card has no money on it, what happens?
Then I can't buy stuff.
Then you can't buy stuff, correct. So one of the things that we learn about in this case here is the value of budgeting. Budgeting is critical. So now you think twice before you make that purchase, right? And so part of when you come into work in this office here, beyond the $100 that we're giving you, now you're earning money as well that you can build up. So part of it is what? We want to be able to budget and spend on things we want. But then it makes it like when you buy something and you had to spend your own money, what does it make you feel? Does it make you feel like if I just gave it to you versus you spent your own money that you worked for, does it make you feel better? So
yes.
They can't see you shaking your head. So get in the microphone. So she said yes. So, the nodding, good for TV, not good for radio or podcasting. So, it is that, and you think about our listeners too, like that instant gratification, if you've saved up for something and you pay cash for it versus throwing it on a credit card, Winter, the easy thing is to throw it on a credit card. So you throw it on a credit card, you don't have to save for it because you know what a credit card does? It means that we pay it later. But now what happens there is that it was instant gratification, and a lot of us were going to be paying interest on that credit card. So that purchase, instead of it being $300, now could potentially cost us $600. So that's where by saving up for something, it makes it more meaningful and it saves you money over that long haul. So that's part of what we're trying to teach too, guys, with this current, having the money come monthly and then letting your kid negotiate through what they can spend and what they should spend that money on. So that's been you think that's been helpful for you?
Yeah.
And so teaching versus just like, here, do these chores and here's the money. If you don't have the app is so helpful because we can all track, her and I, of what's happening. I can see if you made a purchase, and sometimes it'll be like, hey, what did you just buy? And although it was your own money, I can't stop you from doing that, but still allows me to see if you're doing some impulse buying, correct? Because it's so easy now for all of us just to do that one click and boom, it's there, that instant gratification, especially as we're, not going to the malls and things of that nature. So that's been important. When we look out at retirement, right, we've talked about this, a lot of what we do, which is trying to help get a family, an individual, a business owner, Winter, into saving and accumulating so that then they can enjoy retirement. So if you think of your grandparents, and you got a lot of them, we haven't seen quite a few of them now in the last few months, but would you say most of them are retired? So Alan, who's one of your grandpas, Papa, he just retired this year in March. Do you know how long he worked at his job? One job out of school when he was 22. He's now 72. So how long is that?
50 years.
50 years he worked at the same place. Dedication, loyalty. So could he have retired several years ago? Yes, but he enjoyed going to work and being a manager of lots of successful salespeople and a great organization. But he, along with your Papa Ronnie, along with Nancy, and which is your grandma, and Bebby, which is your other grandma, and Norma, Gigi, they all have been retired, most of them now. And Papa Ron, still works. He'll probably work forever. He runs a health business with my brother-in-law, but they all worked hard and saved and lived within their means so that they could enjoy now retirement. Gigi has been retired for many, many years. And do you think she's stresses about money at all? She's shaking her head. No, she got to talk to the thing. So, she was, and her husband, you never met, Harry, they worked hard and they were able to enjoy retirement. So, Winter, when you think about you being 14 and you think of somebody like your grandparents in their 70s, what do you think? Like, what is retirement? What does it mean? Like, what's that word mean?
So you stop making money, so you have to save and be a lot more careful about money.
Meaning you stop making money, so you stop working. So now you still have to live. So saving while you're working so that when you're retired, you have money that you can use to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of people, and that's a great point there, Winter, a lot of people, they don't have a pension. Pension used to be where you work for a company and then you retire and then they pay you every month you get a paycheck. Have you ever heard of the term Social Security?
Yes.
So Social Security is something that even you working today, you're paying into what we call the system. Social Security is a system. We all pay into it. Baintree, as the employer, also pays into it. So then what that means is at some point when you retire, right now our full retirement age is 67. For you, most likely it's going to be later in life. It's going to be like not till 75 because they're going to keep pushing it back because we're living longer. But when we then stop working, then you can start getting Social Security. So part of it is that becomes a monthly paycheck that all your grandparents are getting. And most of the population rely on Social Security as a big component of their monthly income to help them, right? So if they're getting, $2,300 a month and then the spouse is getting $1,800, that's over $4,000 that they're getting a month. So a retiree has to look at social, but then like you said, Winter, they have to save so that then they can use their own money like you're starting to save now. So if you save now, down the road, you're going to have more money. Like part of what we're doing as you're working is that we're funding a Roth IRA for her. So for you listeners that are business owners and your kids work for you, even if they're under the age of 18, as long as they are showing earned income and paying taxes and into Social Security, they can actually fund a Roth, or you can fund a Roth together with them. So what that is, Winter, is where we put money in And like we've talked about, the Roth you can't really touch now. It's not to go buy something. It's not to go to, H&M or what do we like to shop? What's the aviation? Is that the sweatpants? Aviator Nation, ladies and gentlemen. Or like what's interesting is she wants to, like, Air Jordans is something that there's a pair that's a lot of money, a lot more than I would spend on sneakers, but we're not going to just give it to you. So she's working now to get these pair of shoes. But a Roth IRA, if we start putting money into it, you can't get that money out of it. But the benefit there is that you get to have that money growing, and then it's tax-free in retirement. So listeners, if you've got the kids on payroll, make sure that and talk with your CPA, not giving you tax advice, of course, but just see if you have an opportunity to put money away into a Roth IRA account for them. And then together, like we're going to be doing, is looking at what should we invest it in, whether it be indexed funds, ETFs that are indexed, or even buying some stock of companies that like Amazon or Apple or Facebook. Can't really, at this point, buy TikTok, but maybe if Microsoft buys them or Twitter, then you could buy stock in companies that you know. And so that's important too, because it teaches them the value of investing and the potential of losses too, because the stocks just, the one thing trying to teach like you over the years, Winter, is like that, you can invest in money or invest your money in a stock, and the company, you could lose money, which doesn't really make sense, right? Why would I want to lose money? Well, the key is you're risking and betting on, in a sense, a company to hope that they're going to continue to grow so that money grows and you'll have more money than if you just kept it in the bank. Because if you put it in the bank, right now you've got money in the bank, it's not earning much, right? So what that means is the bank has your money, they're loaning it out to somebody, they're making money on it. They're not really paying you much interest right now. So it just stays like this, but it doesn't go like that. Where stock, you buy a company like Microsoft, it could go like this, and then it could go, I was going up, then it could go down. So you could invest $1,000, and a year from now, it could be worth $800. But over the long haul, if you invest in companies that are going to be sustainable, that $1,000 should be worth more than if it was just in the bank. So, but if you make bad decisions and don't have a plan, then what people do is if they put money into Microsoft and it starts losing because they have a bad year, let's say they just do bad decisions, or there's a recession or COVID, and then it's worth $700, and you're like, I don't want to, I just lost $300, and then you sell. Well, once you sold, you lost. If you hold it and stick to your plan, then that money is going to be worth more, hopefully later when it comes back. So as you get older too, don't make rash decisions. And that's part of what we do at Baintree, is to help our clients get a plan and stick to it, whether it's on the individual side or both the individual and the business side. So as always, in the notes here, you want to just have a complimentary conversation with us, a financial review checkup, see what you're doing, see if things that can be done a little bit better maybe. Just click the tab that says schedule a call with us, and we can sit down and I can walk you through some of the things that we've been helping hundreds of clients with over the years. So that's important, is to just see what you're doing and if you're doing things correctly. So we talk about like retirement, and the other thing is like retirement is now that we're not working, right? Like you see like usually Winter will go to camp, and because of COVID, she wasn't able to go to camp. So there's a lot of the summer that was where you bored some of the summer. Right. She's shaking her head. Yes. So there wasn't a lot going on, and not, this case here, there wasn't, it's not like she didn't want to do stuff. There was stuff that wanted to be done. We just couldn't do it. So, but you saw kind of like, not that you became lazy, right? She's smiling, but like, going to bed later, not having structure. So one of the things in retirement is you have to, let's say you have the money situated and say, okay, I know I'm going to be okay. But then it's like, well, what am I going to do? Right? I worked all these years, and I went to work, and I had friends, and I had social interactions, and I managed people, and I had like a purpose. So one thing, Winter, in retirement is, before you retire, is to, what am I going to do? What's my purpose? And that's where, we wrote this book. And listeners, if you want a copy, it'll be in the show notes. The Heartful Retirement, Your Journey to What Matters Most. So what we did there, Winter, is I wrote that with a client who's a retirement coach. And we talk through on some of the things that you can prepare for as you get closer to retirement, whereby you don't want to just a year before or 6 months before be like, okay, what am I going to do? You should start planning 5 years before. Where do I want to live? Do I want to be close to family? Do I want to go back to school maybe and get, maybe a passion? I've always wanted to be an artist. And now I have the time to go back and learn how to sculpt or learn how to paint. One person, not you listen to, but I do, Howard Stern, he has gotten to painting over the years, and he always moans about the fact that he wishes he got into it earlier. But it's that for him, it's about expanding and doing things outside of his comfort zone. And so those are things that you should look at. What are those going to be? Can I give back to charities or foundation or go on a mission or go to, as travel starts, we're allowed to start traveling again. Are you going to have adventures that you want to go on? Right now, a lot of us are not doing these things, especially the retirees who had planned. So we know at some point it's going to turn and change. But overall, when we look at passion and purpose, if we don't have that, then what happens? We wake up late, we get depressed, we maybe watch too much news, the 24/7, do too many TikToks, not obviously for a retiree, but then, maybe they're on Facebook all the time and they're scrolling through. So it's like you can get caught up and it becomes a domino effect. So interactions are key. We're all social creatures. So that's important, is to have that purpose before retirement. So one of the things we help direct to is, like, let's say there's a job change, right? So obviously at 14, you don't really know what you want to do, right? It's a tough question. Do you get annoyed when someone's like, what are you going to be when you grow up?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's shaking her head, and, it's hard for 14 or 18 or even like 25. So those of you, a lot of us are like, we're in our 50s, in our 40s, maybe early 60s, and we're kind of like stuck. I've got to stay in this job because I need the health benefits, or it's stressful, but I'm getting paid here more than I'm getting paid somewhere else. So one of those areas is I think with COVID, it's helped us take a look and see what's most important to us. And it may not be where we need to make as much money because we don't need as many things. So one thing is, if your life, if you're like, I can't take this anymore, talk with an advisory team, talk with your planner if you have one. Not, you can give us a call, but we can walk through with you. Is if life is stressful, maybe you make less money, but you're happier. So those are things that we walk through. As 14, you're going to go through, a lot's going to change. We don't necessarily know what your passion's going to be. Maybe you'll end up, working for Baintree at some point. She's laughing. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. But, who knows? For you, it could be designing, it could be marketing, could be coming up with an idea to start a company. So those are things that, whether you're 14 or 48, being an entrepreneur, it's not for everybody. But if you've got those ideas, it's obviously a lot easier when you don't have the stress and the pressure and the responsibility of a family and a mortgage and those type of things. But don't let your dreams go away. Have those dreams and follow through on them if you can, and surround yourself with good business coaches and mentors. And that's the thing, listeners, is helpful for me, is that as trying to build and grow a company and work with clients and help build our processes out and continue to expand, working with mentors and those outside of my industry, both inside the industry and outside the industry. We've worked the last decade or so with a great organization, Advisors Excel, that helps firms just like us, Winter, grow and expand, and sharing ideas on different marketing and digital aspects and the servicing and the experience. And, that's great, this group share. And that's where you should do is really surround yourself with good people. But then I'm part of the, as Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, and that is an organization for entrepreneurs, global organization. Arizona has, about 180 members, I think. And it's great because we have learning events and we have forum groups where you have these business owners from all different businesses that are there, and we get together once a month and we share and we learn from each other on things that we can't share with anybody else. And it's where you almost have it's called a board of directors. So there's this board of directors, Winter, is where you have this group of people that are there to help with the company's growth and being a fiduciary and transparent and holding the company accountable. Well, the same thing is if you have a business coach or a mentor, like a parent kind of holds you accountable, right? Like, hey, I don't want to get up and come to work today with you, right? I got to get, but once you're here, as she's yawning, but you guys can't see that. Once we got her here, then, you always walk out of here happy that you came to the office and learned and worked with everybody, and the team loves having you here. So that's the same thing a business or a coach can do, or a mentor, is hold you accountable and really hold you under the fire, because most business owners are going to be competitive and they're going to go on a lot of different tangents. So what a mentor can do, a business coach can do, an EO or YPO or groups like that, is help hold you accountable and keep you on track. So it's those type of things. And then, as obviously, we have a podcast here. She always says it puts, it's great to listen to your podcast, Dad, because what does it do?
Put me to sleep.
Puts her to sleep, right? Thanks, Winter. That's fantastic. So, I look, and I think a lot of you who are listening to this podcast, you listen to other podcasts, and, there's so many podcasts out there, but, find your core and have some for entertainment, but, you can learn, and just this medium of being able to hear from people a lot more successful than me, and learning from them and getting to know them, and then bringing on guests. I mean, that's in a sense like having your own business coach. So, make sure that you're doing those type of things. Business, mentors and reading and podcasts, all of those things. And then, I think the one thing that a lot of us is we haven't been able to go to the gyms or swim or classes. The other thing, Winter, I think, is staying physically fit, mentally fit. Physically fit helps you stay mentally fit. And so that's eating well. And, you think about when you're a really good runner, even though sometimes it's harder to get you out there than not. And, it's 114 degrees today, so it's a little tougher unless we're going early. But how do you feel after you run? Usually pretty good?
Sure.
Sure.
Really.
It's not really. Well, that's because you're talking about racing in cross country. But like once you exercise or you do your exercises, don't you feel usually a little bit better? So, finding that time to move the body helps with the mind. So staying physically fit, Winter, is important. Doesn't mean you have to do what I'm doing. Doesn't mean you have to go biking for 40 miles or, but like things like swimming are good. Or maybe you'll get into yoga, or, you'll get into Zumba, or you'll get into whatever it is that makes you happy. And listeners, all of us have different body types and different goals. Doesn't mean you got to go run an Ironman and train for one. But just even moving the body a little bit, we all know the advantages of that in today's crazy world. Even if you can't get to your gym right now, go for a brisk walk, take your dog out, go to the park, do something, get the body moving. And then one thing that I know a lot of you do, which I have not really been wanting to, but haven't been doing, and it's a goal of mine, is to just take a pause, meditate, and to spend that time throughout each day to meditate. Now, Winter, do you know the advantage of meditating?
No.
Well, what that does is it helps to calm your mind, calm your body. So that way you sit there for whether it's 15 minutes and you just take away all thoughts, all concerns, all worries, and you just go into yourself and you think about resting the brain. That's part of why sleep is important. But if we're able to rest the brain and get back into maybe it's like a foundation of strength, it's something that all of us should be doing. And I know there's some great apps out there that allow you to stay accountable. So that's a goal of mine, is to continue to, stay physically fit, eat well, and then also get into that mental side, that spiritual side, and that meditation side. So very important there, Winter. And then what do you think, surrounding yourself with friends? I know it's a little bit harder right now. You kind of have your bubble of your few friends that you hang with.
Yeah.
You looking forward to going back to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting a lot. It's a lot of words coming today, guys. So it's a good thing I'm a talker. She's nodding though, so she is nodding. So she's excited. You're supposed to go back to school in September. Yeah, I think so. One of the things you miss from school is the social interaction. That's something it's hard to do. Learning from Zoom, not the most ideal.
Retirement.
Not the most ideal, right? She's asking what this has to do with retirement. Well, it all leads back to that mental clarity and learning and social interaction. So part of going back to school, whether you're in ninth grade or in college or a 7-year-old, is the interaction you have with your kids and learning how to be present and focused, and also to take take guidance from authority. So hopefully we'll all get back on track there, because it also, for us as the listeners, as business owners and just employees, it doesn't matter if you're a business owner or employee, but like, it's tough. We have some single, being a single mom or single dad, or even both mom and dad work, and you've got kids at home. How do you do it? Businesses are being relaxed. Working from home is something that we know works. I still think, from the standpoint of getting back to, at some point, the pendulum will swing the other way. Back to, we need to have culture. We need to have people here. We need to have an office. So those are the type of things that, things will continue to evolve and change, but it's tough out there. So just, what we whether for you, just stay positive. That's what we try to teach our clients. Start with having a plan and sticking to it, because that'll lead you well into, as you get to different phases of your life. And that's part of where we'll be there to help you. And you're after school, you get a job. You're not going to probably be making much money. You may not like that job. You're going to maybe switch jobs a couple of different times. Hopefully, again, you'll come back to Baintree, looking for some really good, women advisors. We need more and more of them. So she's not really liking that idea, but we'll see. But life changes, and that happens too as you enter into closer to retirement, things of that nature. So overall, these are the areas that we look at, and we want to just make sure that you're there. And so, as we finish up today, I talk about from learning a little bit from the perspective of a Gen Zer, a little bit of me going on a little rampage here, just a little bit of a tangent, not a rampage, but maybe in her mind it's a rampage. But I think Winter's done with this particular podcast. She's ready to get to work here at Baintree to help us out on all aspects. So, one day, maybe you'll go back to this podcast and you'll be like, Dad knew a little bit what he was talking about. I know right now it's a little harder to push through, but one day you'll look back and say, that was some pretty decent advice, Dad. So with that, Winter, would you have anything left to say to the audience?
No, thank you for listening.
Was it fun?
Sure, yeah.
She had a blast. Thank you, Winter, for being our special guest. And this was a treat for me. I appreciate you guys listening in. Hopefully you took away some good nuggets. And we got some really good guests coming up here for the second half of 2020. So stay tuned for a brand new episode coming up later this month. Happy planning, everybody.
Thank you for joining me for today's episode of Your Wealth and Beyond. To get access to all the resources mentioned during today's podcast, please visit Baintree.com/podcast. And be sure to tune in later this month for another episode of Your Wealth and Beyond.
Investment advice is offered through Baintree Wealth Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuity products are offered separately through Baintree Planning Group, LLC. Baintree is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute legal or tax advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation.